for me, I have to stay on a schedule, right? When I wake up in the morning, I get 1 cup of coffee. You don't get 5. You don't get a rock star.
You don't want to see her with 5 cups of coffee.
It's a real thing.
Char, how many cups of coffee did you have this morning?
1.5.
Go take a nap.
It's just a matter of keeping yourself on a schedule, and that can be boring, right? But I wake up, I have 1 cup of coffee. At 9 p.m., I turn on my podcast. I go sit in my room and start winding down. It's super important for me to stay on this schedule and to kind of modify my behavior around that schedule, because it's what allows me to get up and maintain and feel happy. I actually feel happy for the first time in my entire life. At the age of 37 years old, I finally wake up, and I'm not mad that I woke up. I'm excited. Yeah. I'm waking up, and I'm ready to start my day, and this is truly a first for me. The first year of recovery was not great. It was really hard. And once I got, into my second, it has been wonderful, and I am happy every day.
That's awesome.
That's weird to hear. I remember those people that were happy, and it just, I was mad, right? Like, oh, you're one of those disgusting happy people. Right, like, what is wrong with you? Absolutely, what is wrong with you? And now I get it, but it took so much work and so much pain to get there.
Yeah.
You really earn it. By the time you get there, you earn your stripes. What's really cool now, being a manager of a sober living, is I have people coming in at all different levels of recovery, 90 days, 6 months, and watching them go through this process and start to learn themselves, learn their life, and kind of decide what direction they want their life to go in is just so cool to see, because everybody's path is different. I mean, everybody's path is beautiful and unique, but it also is really cool to see everybody hit these certain milestones where these light bulbs go off in their brain, and they're like, oh my God, I realize why I do that now. And if you no longer want to do that, you can make some changes.
It's very interesting. You've made several points throughout this that I find kind of, from my background, I was an athlete all growing up for a very long time. But there's a lot of principles that carry over, and I think this is a message to a lot of different people. Getting on his schedule, having a routine is a very important aspect to, I don't care what your background, I don't care what you're doing.
Yeah.
If you're trying to be successful, you got to do that.
You got to do that. And that is step number 1.
Right.
And even if you're starting with, okay, I'm going to wake up, I'm going to have a cup of coffee, and that's where we're going to start. Or the Jordan Peterson, wake up and make your bed.
Yes.
Right? That's
every
a
day.
Huge, big first step to getting on a program.
Yes.
The other thing that I hear you saying that I think is translucent to anybody, I don't care what your background is you got to get around people that you want to be like.
Yes.
Okay? Because from what I'm hearing, if you're homeless and you're doing this and you're surrounding yourself, it perpetuates the problem.
Absolutely.
And the second, most people get out and they start making friends that are trying to strive for something higher and look for something more, that's when you can start pick up some traction.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely, and it feels so cliche to say, right? But it's so true, and I'm almost mad that the cliche is true. But I was that rebel all growing up. I'm like, I don't want to believe it, but it is imperative. And even making your bed, something so simple. When I walk back into my room later in between meetings or whatever, and I see that my room is nice, it's made up, and it's welcoming, it's inviting, my headspace is so much easier to organize. When my living quarters are neat and orderly and organized, my brain feels so much more peace. When my house is a cluster, I can't think straight, I can't handle mess, and that's simply because I can keep things organized in my brain. When my physical environment is orderly, it helps my brain stay organized.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. Yeah.
I mean, it did take me a very long time to learn I had to have a schedule, as much as that is, and I have roommates that, people that live at the sober living, and they make fun of me because I'm like a little old lady going to bed at 9 o'clock.
Same.
But, I mean, my boss also makes fun of me. But that's what I do. I listen to my podcast. I start my podcast right at 9 p.m., and by the time my podcast is rounding out, that I'm falling asleep, and it's perfect, and this works for me, and that's what keeps me happy. And if it didn't work, I wouldn't be doing it, but I've been doing it for almost 2 years now, and it's working, so I'm going to keep doing it.
I like what you said. Surround yourself with people that you strive to be like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They show you your 5 friends, I'll show you your success,
Yeah.
Yep.
That was the whole genesis of this.
Yeah.
Our motorcycle network was to solve that problem. Most guys, and we're talking about 2 different walks of life here, but most guys, in the professional world, they don't talk to each other. There's mental health stuff with everybody, like you said.
Yeah.
Everybody needs to talk to somebody.
Everyone.
And in Utah, most guys, they're married and they have kids and whatnot, and then that ends. You don't have friends anymore, right?
I am now stoic.
Yeah, right.
And we don't
Forever
talk.
onward.
Yeah.
And so this, in large part, was trying to change who you're associating with and building that core group of people that you can rely on to better yourself through life.
And even just normalizing talking about your struggles. I mean, similar to how what you're expressing, right? We don't talk about that. You know, you just pull up your big girl britches and get moving, right? When that's not the reality. By talking about it, we can move past it. You can't get past until you go through. So for me, having those conversations, even when I'm stressed and I walk away from my computer, I'll call Destiny and we'll just have a conversation not about work. What's going on with your daughter? What's going on this weekend? It's super important to be able to talk about other things besides your work home life, right? There's so much more to an individual, and I think just normalizing talking about substance use disorder, talking about mental health conditions. We all have something, whether it's worked or not worked for you, whether it's diagnosable or not, we all have something that we wish we could modify or we wish we could get a little bit better dealing with.
And it's important to have that group of people to hold you accountable.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who sees you going a little stray and will say, hey, like, what's going on with you, you know? That is really important, is to have a community that holds you accountable,
Yeah.
to keep you online.
No, I agree. I agree with that entirely. That's again, the whole different circle, but baseball, that's where guys thrived. It's in our circle, it was competition. You held each other, you know, accountable through competition, and we're working towards this goal, and everybody's pushing each other. And it works the same thing for what you're doing. Yep. If you're around people, okay, that are trying to do better and they're trying to better their lives, you're going to pick up on that. It rubs off.
Yep.
For sure, especially in recovery. In the past, I have never had people I surrounded myself with that had substantial recovery, right? I'd go to AA meetings and see the old timers and just kind of, you know, pass them off as just old timers. But now I hang out with Destiny, who's got 6 years in recovery, right? We hang out at USERA, where I have a recovery coach who's got 3 years. Everybody in my world has some substantial recovery, and they have something that I want, right? I want to have my own home and have a family, and Destiny has that. And surrounding myself with people who have achieved the goals that I hope to achieve myself one day helps it be more realistic for me. And it's super important to see other people have that, manage it, but also still have struggles. Nobody's
Right.
ever going to be perfect.
If you'd like that clip and would like to watch another one, click right here. If you'd like to watch the whole video, click right here. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We'll catch you on the next one.